shift from the accumulation phase to the deaccumulation phase and assume that you invested wisely during the accumulation phase. Now the question is the next 30 begins, as you say. So, Mr. Rao, what strategies should be employed to transition from high risk investments to more conservative options as, say, retirement approaches for an individual?
Thanks, Gautam. I think again it's a very crucial stage of life, and deaccumulation can also make a lot of difference, because all that you need to rearrange yourself, how much you accumulated, and before that there is I feel it's a transition stage. Transition stage is like this: when you play 20 overs match, at 15th over or 16th over, you will get to know where you are ending up your 20th over. And you need to speed up something, you need to hit hard, and you need to play, no defense. Now you need to go all out, and depending on the situation, or your wickets are last, then you need to preserve those 3 wickets. And that wicket here, I look at these 3 wickets could be your liquidity, your growth, and your returns, and you need to preserve that liquidity, preserve that safety, and preserve that return. And this transition phase is a crucial for us in the retirement. Between accumulation and deaccumulation, the transition phase, look at 5 things which whether you have done rightly or no. One, you ensure before even looking at the corpus, are you debt free, and have you saved enough? And third is, do a test run. If you are going to live for 30 years, how this corpus is going to work for you, and provide for your health expenses, and ensure there is an emergency fund. If you can take these in a transition phase, then you can always look at the transition phase, the 5 steps formula I always talk about. You can have a gradual shift from you have a growth phase to the phase you need to protect. You need to high risk to the low risk stage of your life, and get into that gradual shift. Move it to the either target date funds, or I call debt structuring. It is a bond laddering. How I can look at, and ensure that emergency fund is always crucial in every phase of life. The moment you have an emergency fund, you don't need to worry about other things, because it takes off, because markets may turn whichever the way, and you tend to become emotional, take a decisions. And I believe in the retirement planning, 3 things will happen. You have your health, you have your wealth, and you have your emotions. How you need to play the triangular one, and ensure the deaccumulation stage. How you this 3 bucket formula I look at. You don't need entire corpus today. If I'm retiring at 60, if I'm living for 90, what I need to do is, first bucket is next 5 years what I need, because little cash, and I need more liquidity. It's a lesser return is fine. The pocket of money which for the next 5 years cash flow, and next one would be the next bucket. It could be the next 10 years, maybe 60 to 70 kind of it. The second bucket, where it can have an income, where it can have a duration portfolio, and it could be a balanced one. And the last 10 years, another 10 years, which is a little longer bucket, you can play as if you are in accumulation stage, because that money you never need it. That can work for you to create little more wealth. That money can be tomorrow morning you're passing on to the next generation. And the last but not least is, have your financial coach. That can help a lot, because you individually, you tend to do mistakes, and somebody behind you can help you for it. And that's what I look at as a transition phase.
Absolutely. And looking at the 3 buckets that you mentioned, Mr. Rao, the question also is, how can retirees ensure that they have sufficient liquidity to handle unforeseen expenses during retirement? Because you spoke about emergency funds during that phase. If you can expand on some of those points.
I think, then in the second phase of life, it's like a second innings. How you need to preserve your wicket and keep playing is the most important. If there are 3 wickets, I can look at the first wicket is the most safety wicket part of it. Ensure that is never falling into it. And here the liquidity is as a second wicket, and the third is the return wicket. Your 3 wickets you look at. And emergency fund, how much you are keeping? Probably you can give a cushion little more. Your emergency fund can be little higher, because you have a psychological comfort. It's more than the return. You have a psychological comfort, and emergencies may come anyway, which way you do not know. You are just making, you can't predict, but you are preparing for it. Your emergency fund, which I call it as a contingency fund. And then provide for your annuities. Probably you can go for the partial annuities, so that you can plan your cash flows in a very different way. And the third I look at is, from some of your investments, in case of emergency or falling, just a preparation, can you look at some of the line of the credit which is available to you? you. And then you should have a flexible withdrawal plan. When you are planning for this retirement, we call safe withdrawal plan. Probably, you can have the flexible withdrawal plan. Some pockets of time I may need to withdraw a little more, then I can keep it. And the last but not the least is, can you work for the multiple sources of income flow that period of time? It's when you are investing in multi assets, your income flow can be very different. Probably, some you may be getting for your pension, or some maybe you're getting from annuities, some you may be getting from your assets. How you are planning for that, that's the most important part.
All right. Now, if you don the mantle of a coach advising players, what would you say are the best practices for optimizing risk while maintaining stability in a retirement portfolio?
Yes, I think the optimizing risk is the most important part, and I call risk is something like RISK, right? It is a richly invested in skills and knowledge. You can look at, and but that's the first part. Looking at, I mean, again, if I can take cricket analogy, what you do is you see how you safeguard yourself to stay in the pitch, and for that, diversifying your hit, which side you are looking at. Diversification plays a very vital role for optimizing risk, and asset allocation plays another one. Each of the asset class may vary differently, and asset allocation can give you differently. And within the asset allocation, can I look at assets which can give an income, multiple assets which can give me a growth, that can be a multiple assets. And third one I look at is how I can rebalancing it. What is my run rate, where I'm scoring, how long I'm going to live, am I afford to this lifestyle, how I can rebalance that. Then either I need to minimize my lifestyle or maximize my rate, and what is that I can do it. And the last probably the last two things I can talk about is in every aspect I would like to emphasize emergency fund, and emergency fund. And have a coach, have a financial advisor. The professional advice can make a lot of difference even at this phase of life, because in the reviewing you can always look at. And don't forget to involve in the conversations, bringing in your spouse, because it's not a one man's retirement, it's a family which is impacted, and have that family conversations around.
All right. So from playing defense, let's talk about playing on the front foot. You've played smartly and sensibly for a majority of the innings. Now the question is, what do you do towards the end of the innings? So your thoughts, Mr. Rao, on how retirees can maximize their portfolio performance to sustain their lifestyle throughout retirement?
Yes, fabulous. I think, Gautam, again, this I go back to the earlier one when I said the 3-bucket formula. My third bucket is predominantly looking at growth. Third bucket, I'm capturing the growth. Second bucket, I'm doing the balancing. First bucket, I'm looking at cash flows available. You want to maximize, probably, what you can do is my current consumption, keeping apart previous other consumptions, every rupee, how it can maximize, what returns I can look at. Today, coming back on the mutual fund space, I look at if the first bucket is taking care of the debt, second bucket taking care of the balanced funds, third bucket can taking care of the equity funds. That can give the maximizing return. And the second one, not only the returns is the one, the outcome of my investment. Return is the one which I can reduce my tax outflow, how I can look at my tax efficiency. And while withdrawing, I can put the tax efficiency in place. For example, this budget has given 1.25 lakhs as I can withdraw my capital gains with a tax free. How I can bucket those small things and how I can make most tax efficient. Paying tax is good for the country, saving tax is good for you. How you can do that in a very balanced way. And the use that in the initial period in the first bucket or second bucket, use that safety of the withdrawal plan as less as possible. We talk it's a 4%, right? If you can plan that way, it's the most idealistic way. Sometimes it is difficult, but you stick to that withdrawal plan. If you can formulate withdrawal plan, have a 3-bucket strategy and budgeting your expenses, and then you are in the game and you can maximize the returns.
All right. You spoke about tax efficiency. I want you to expand on that and take us through the most effective strategies for withdrawing from retirement accounts to minimize tax implications. What would you like to state?
Yeah, fortunately, you have a multiple investment options. Probably, up to 30 lakh rupees, you can put the money into the most tax efficient way, whether it is a postal savings, whether it's a senior citizens Vayovandana Yojana, and then you come back to the systematic withdrawal plan of the mutual funds. Within the systematic withdrawal plan, put it in an asset class which can give you the most tax efficient way. Probably, it's a 12.5% long-term capital gains in the current, but this is changing very faster. Put it in a tax efficient ways, availing all the tax benefits available. Integrate your cash flow and tax planning together, and that's the best way to look at.
All right. And before we wrap up our masterclass, your thoughts on how retirees should plan for long term care and manage the associated costs.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the last one is the phase. I mean, when I said it's a golden age plan, I mean, how you can make that gold shines till the end of your life. Sheen of the gold, you can keep it. And for me, that gold GOLD is an acronym. I mean, I look at long-term care is that GOLD. How you can gainfully engaged, I mean, gainfully invested. Either it's a three bucket strategy, yourself investing yourself and your money to be invested. And that is the optimal investing in every asset class. How you can look at L is your lifestyle. How you can like the way you are rebalancing the portfolio. Probably you need to relook at your lifestyle. D is the discipline, whether it is an investing, whether you are disinvesting, you need to have that gold part of it. And when you said long-term care, again, care, I put it as in very in acronym way. And that is the best care you can take is when you have a contingency fund, right? C. And A is your right asset allocation. C is your regular income plan and regular investment plan. When you are doing that time, regular income plan you are looking at R. And E is coming as a I mean, always you can look at how that any emergency, are you ready to prepare for it? And apart from the money, I mean, financial wealth is one part for the long-term care. You have a multiple wealths you need to take care. Your relations, investing in money, investing in relations, and your social wealth, your psychological wealth, your spiritual wealth can bring that the gold part of it, and ensure you have written your will. And that is another one which can makes you free. I mean, when you are passing on the legacy, that will is the most important part. This WILL, I mean, that is normally I call it as a wish I live longer, but I can't write. I need to write my will. And ensure that you are professionally professional advice, and you have a your whole journey. When I start my money for accumulation, it is I focus more on increasing my purse. When I come, it is I look at is I pursue. I mean, I pursue that my money can last. And here I look at it as a pulse, and at the last leg, which is your purpose, which is your legacy, which is your sustainability, and which is your economic stability. If you can bring that, can bring the holistic.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। स्कीम संबंधी सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।